And now, live from the iAcquire offices in New York City, it's Lunch Break with Michael King.
Welcome back to Lunch Break, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined today by Tony Rojas, Creative Director for Nielsen. And we also have Tom Harari here, our SEO manager. So, Tone, how you been?
I'm good.
Yeah?
I'm fantastic. I couldn't be better, Mike. I'm so happy right now. Just to be with you.
What'd you put in that sushi?
I don't know what they put in the sushi, but this is kind of cool. He's almost like Andy Richter.
Yeah.
Like I kind of feel like this is a very
Not as fat.
right. Yes.
Way more
Sorry,
photogenic.
Yes.
So,
Far more New York.
Yeah, definitely. So, except he's from Philly.
Oh, right.
So, Tone is joining us today, and we had sushi from the Aoki Sushi. What specifically did you have?
I had the salmon avocado rolls, and I have an unopened chicken teriyaki there, which will be half eaten by the time I leave here. I think.
Well, you're welcome to take your time and eat.
I appreciate it. I might donate that to someone in the office as a Valentine's gift.
That'll work.
Yeah.
And so I just had edamame today because I already ate, and my wonderful girlfriend brought me cheesecake in the shape of a heart.
Nice. From Junior's.
Yeah, from Junior's.
So if you're gonna get a heart-shaped cheesecake, get it from Junior's. Not a plug, but yeah.
So Tone and I actually go back pretty far to 2000 or 99 or so.
I'd say about 2000. I think 2000.
Yeah, and so I know Tone from music because he is an incredible musician, singer, songwriter, MC, producer, record label owner, and then he's also a creative director on top of that.
Yeah, that's like the next slash. I also do bar mitzvahs, and I'm very handy at making bathrooms out of plywood.
Nice. So me and Tone kind of come from the same type of background, but in digital, we landed on two separate sides of the fence. So I'm strategy and then he's creative. And I kind of wanted to start out just getting your insights as to how strategy and creative can work better together.
I think that strategy people need to let me do whatever I want and not give me a hard time about the best presentable formats and not tell me that my emails can't be a certain size and tell me that I need to only have web fonts in all of my websites to optimize SEO and have to force me to go through 7,000 Google fonts and things like that. That would be awesome.
So what you're saying is creative and strategy will work best if strategy did nothing.
In a weird way, yeah. In a weird way, I kind of feel that way. No, you know what it is. Honestly, I think that putting stuff on the web in front of people in general is, you're just basically casting a huge net with gigantic holes in it. So it's like whatever fish are confused enough to land itself at the net. You're happy to get those. So the trick is really sort of coming up with weird ways to sort of enamor people's eyeballs that will make them click on stuff. And I feel like any limitations that you're presented with just kind of murk the water up. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So let's take a step back. What specifically do you do? Are you doing the ads for display? Are you designing email? What specifically does your role entail?
Well, specifically, I'm the global creative leader for online acquisition.
Okay.
So we get the asses in the seats. Pardon my French.
It's very good French.
Thank you. The asses. And the Seats. I put the SS on the Seats. So that entails, direct to consumer email marketing, banner ads, websites, a lot of landing pages, sort of the entire funnel, everything that would be encompassed in the entire funnel from getting them off the web, getting them to click through, getting them on a join page.
So you're all across the consumer,
and then remessaging them and making sure that after we have them, and so it's the entire spectrum of it. I handle all of the creative for all of that.
Wow.
So it's a lot. as you
Fair
can
enough,
imagine,
fair
for
enough.
several different panels around the world.
Okay, so since you have such a large reach, like how much input does Nielsen as a company have on what you're doing? Like, are you defining the brand specs and things, or?
Well, it's kind of like the way it normally operates. You know, there's different teams. You know, so we'll basically have a one just DMA that we're looking to tap into, or there's like a certain age group that we might be lacking in this month to next month. It changes month to month basis for what we're looking for. So I basically come up with the campaigns to to put out there to make sure that we get heads in there. So in terms of the input, I do work with a team. I have a communications person that I work with that just mainly handles messaging and copy and stuff like that. And we work together a lot. But in terms of campaigns, we do have some brainstorming sessions from time to time where we'll have the different panel leads and stuff talk with me. But at the end of the day, I will be the one that will sit down, come up with the tag, come up with with the imagery, and all design ends up in my hands.
So we talked at my party or something recently, and you said that you were having display ads that were showing like a super crazy high CTR that I have never.
I'm not going to sit here and brag about it, but yeah, I'm sure there's a reason why I'm able to keep my job.
But I mean, in my experience, like every display ad or campaign I've seen, like analytics for, it's always been like 0.000001% or something like that. And you said something like 4%.
No, it was 2. This is 2 point.
2%.
Yeah, 2 point.
Even that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the average over years. You know what I'm saying? Because we here's the one thing you notice when you're doing something in at least with partners, acquisition partners and stuff like that, people that are trafficking all these creative, they're working with all these different companies that are basically like feeding them ads to put out on their networks and stuff. So you're having an impact when we generate something and like a week later, all the other people were generating the same ad. Like we do something with a smiley face, and then suddenly everybody's got like a pseudo smiley face.
Right.
We do something with Post-it notes. Suddenly everybody has something with Post-it notes. So it's like clearly what we're doing is working enough to cause a sea change in everybody's creative departments. We need more smiley faces. Get on the horn now. Do what they're doing. So it's been good, and we refresh a lot. That's the other thing. With several different panels, like we're constantly just like drumming up. Okay, how do we say the same thing again, but fresh? And that gets really hard to do after a while.
Right.
So
it's like making the same song over and
over again. And how can I say this in a new way?
Right.
And that's the trick, So you play a lot with current events and holidays, and I try to stick away from the holidays because I kind of feel like it's hokey and it's like the gimme,
right.
But current events you can play a lot with,
right?
Anyways.
Cool. So, kind of like steering away from your day job and more towards like your own creative, because I know you're also like a painter, like you do a lot of creative stuff like cartooning, animation. So what changes has your own creative undergone from being in this type of role?
I kind of feel like now, long story short, I was an art school kid. I did that. You know what I'm saying? I dropped out of art school. At my very first art school I dropped out of because I couldn't deal with the pretentiousness of art school. Like, I hate art school people. Like, hate them so much. And I'll say that because I can.
Right.
But I just didn't get it. Like, I'd walk into class and like some kid had like nailed 4 planks of wood together and it's like, it's an altar to humanity, and everybody's like, yay, and and I'm just sitting there like, what? Like, why? I can't do this. Like, it wasn't real enough for me. So the thing I've always appreciated about marketing in general is I like that there's a clear, defined goal, and I like the challenge of that.
Right.
I don't like the fact that I could paint something that I poured my heart and soul into and then not know if anybody on the face of the earth cares, or that it changed anything, or that it I don't know why it sold. I don't know why it didn't sell. I put all of that artistic nature of myself, and I pour that into my music and my personal art and stuff. But for work, I'm able to have this one focused goal. So now I take anything that I've learned from work is like how to apply just like the psychological aspects of marketing into my own stuff.
Right.
You know, like knowing at least on album artwork what's going to work best. Or how to lay out my website to better catch people's eyes or convey to them the information that I want them to get immediately.
Right.
Like just the other day, I did a blog post for my new EP that I'm working on, and I was reading it and I was like, man, like I wonder how many rappers are sitting down just going over copy a million times to make sure that like I've stressed exactly what I want to convey, and that this is the easiest way to digest all of this information.
Right, like conversion focused copy, basically.
Exactly.
So we have to take a break. We'll be back in about 20-30 seconds with Tone. We're going to talk more about his job a little bit, but more about music marketing. So back in 20 seconds. And we're back. We're talking to Tony Rojas, creative director from Nielsen. So, what was your biggest takeaway from being a CD at Nielsen?
Biggest takeaway is, wow, that's a big question. I think the biggest takeaway would be that I've been able to sort of change a lot of sort of like the corporate expectations of the creative, in a research firm, and that's the biggest thing. Like people always ask me, it's like, yeah, you do creative for a research firm, which is like you do pretty pictures for math geeks, and like
Sure, that's what it sounds like.
yeah, no, I mean that's exactly what it is. Like a CD at an ad agency is a completely different experience. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? That's when you get your Don Draper on. You know what I'm saying? You walk in with a cool, some skinny jeans and some Pumas, and a blazer.
It's like everybody at AKQA that you just described.
You know what I'm saying? Like that guy. Like, and they all art school people, right there, right? All of them. So that's a completely different experience, and it's definitely a lot. It's a different kind of pressure. You know what I'm saying? Because essentially, if a campaign at an ad agency does poorly, any CD's ass is on the line.
Right.
Especially if there's a lot of money invested in it.
Right.
With research, people understand that there's ebbs and flows to traffic. So there's going to be good weeks, there's going to be bad weeks. You know what I'm saying? Just depending on what's happening in the world and how many people are online at any given time. They understand that the numbers are the most important thing, and it's not necessarily about like, hey, this is cool and this is not cool.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What's the seasonality look like for like a research firm like that?
It's honestly it's like week to week, man. I really honestly feel like it's week to week.
Huh.
You know what I mean? So that's why there's such a high refresh rate in terms of creative. Like we've churned out, hundreds of ads, man, like hundreds. And it's just constantly just like, oh, we're dipping in in 18 to 24. We need to come back. Oh, 55 plus is hemorrhaging. We need to make some non-Viagra looking ads with old men and women holding phones and looking longingly into each other's dulling eyes. It's a tough sell sometimes, but it just as long as you stay on the ball and you're constantly refreshing, you're okay with it. But my point is essentially the biggest takeaway is having them understand that having a research sort of team understand that creative isn't just this PowerPoint presentation, that it's not, you know what I'm saying, like it's not clip art that you put into your your Word doc.
No, trust me, I agree. I mean, if it's up to me, I'd have a creative on my team. But that's a whole
nother story. He took a breath and there's a and he held it in his chest. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so do you feel your work gets in the way of your hip-hop career, or does your hip-hop career get in the way of your work?
That's a hell of a loaded question. But, yeah, look, it's like this. Like, my mother wanted me to be a lawyer. Mm-hmm. She wanted me to be a chemical engineer, any sort of weird, vocational degree I could have gotten would have been preferable to what I got. You know what I'm saying? Like I got into the web when there wasn't a web. Does that make any sense? Like
Me too.
yeah, you know what it is. I feel like everybody in like our like age range, we understand what it was like to sign on with 14.4 modems or you know, like my
2400s. But
yeah, my first computer. I got my first computer in '98. You know, and ever since then it's been, you know, whatever. But I don't know, man. Like I just feel like I don't know. I feel like things have changed so much.
It has.
Since
they
then.
have, brother.
But shit, what was the question again? Sorry, I lost it. I totally like space.
Well,
right
to that point you just made, like I remember when I first started making websites, like the only job you had was webmaster, and that person did everything.
Right.
They did like the admin on the site, like they had to know Unix, they had to know how to code, they had to know back end and front end.
Yeah, now everything's so specialized. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of like, okay, does the job hurt the music or the music hurt the job? Like, I basically bought all that up to say, you know, I've learned so much doing the music aspect of it that it's helped me do my job.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know you could say the same thing, you know, because it's like trying to figure out how to get your music heard is one of the hardest things you can possibly do.
Yeah, so marketing is easy after that.
Yeah, it's like, for real, like, that's it? Like, wait, you're going to pay? Really? Okay. Like, you know, it's like I've been trying to sell underground rap CDs to kids in Ohio for the past 10 years. And you're telling me you're going to give me thousands of dollars to just, the whole world's going to see this? This is great. You know what I'm saying? It's true.
It's very true.
It's very true. And it's like when you, like the music thing, we've been, especially with the running of the label, the QN5 thing, like you learn so much about just how far you can take $1 with just placing things in the right spot or just advertising in the right way, you know? Like, I can stretch a $10,000 budget for an indie record farther than some major labels can with $250,000.
True.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just from, you know, 12 years of just, like, refining the approach and refining it and refining it. And it was hell. And does the job get in the way? I mean, no, because it allows me to pay my bills. You know what I'm saying? But does the music get in the way? I would say no. More often no than anything else. I mean, I've had CDs delivered, you know, to my office simply because you know, I don't have anywhere to put them in my nobody's home to get my packages. But aside from that, I think it's actually made me better at both in a weird way.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that. So, you know, about a year or two ago, I gave a presentation at SEO Moz. It was like what being a independent rapper taught me about SEO. And it's exactly what you're saying. Like, I had to be a one-man inbound marketing team. Like, I didn't have money to spend on a marketing budget, so it was like, okay, what can I do for free? Like, what type of content can I make that's going to go the farthest? How can I activate people? How can I find a community that I can build around my brand? Right. And I didn't have the words for all those things then, but that's what I was doing. And then when I saw what people are doing in SEO, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's easy. And wait, what do you mean? These people in these other verticals are receptive to this? Oh, yeah. And speaking at conferences, I don't have to make it rhyme? Really?
This is so easy. You know?
So it's not yeah. They help each other.
No, it does. You know, being able to speak in public is like a big thing. You know what I'm saying? And like when you've been on stage in like, I don't know, Tuskegee or like
how about Czech Republic?
If you've been on stage speaking to people that don't speak English,
exactly.
And you're still able to get your point across.
Exactly.
You, my friend, have been a hip-hop artist at some point.
It's true, because I think that's an art. Like, if you can rap at people in English that don't speak English and still get them to, like, be into it and respond to your call and response with a little bit of English they know, that is transcending that communication barrier. And if, like, that allows you to communicate even better in your own language, ultimately.
I agree.
So, what is your favorite job of the three? Label owner, musician, creative director?
I would probably say, of course, being creative director is the best thing that's ever happened. Clearly, so
He's not going easy on anything.
yeah, I know he's not. He's
Questions like taking it up on other.
yeah, he's jabbing the pull stick. Hello, Cool J style with the pull stick.
Wow.
I know you know that.
I
movie.
do.
Omar Epps. In Too Deep. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't seen In Too Deep, make sure you watch In Too Deep. With Hello, Cool J. I would say, my dream always as a child was to own a label and to basically, put out records for talented people, talented artists. And I love to make music, but I find myself more compelled to kind of like quarterback projects. That's like I love doing that. Like I just love putting it all together. Just because, I have so many interests in terms of visual art and music, and I have a vested interest in doing all of those things well. So when I'm able to running a label enables me to put all that in action.
Basically, owning a label allows you to be a strategist.
There you go. And I be strategizing, son. I be strategizing.
All right, so to all those points, how has music marketing changed since people started stealing your music?
Well, since they started stealing my music, marketing has changed because now I don't ever advertise anymore. Like I will not spend money on an ad. I just won't do it.
Yeah, there's no ROI. It makes sense.
Yeah, it makes zero sense. The only way to advertise music nowadays is because everything's changed so much is through blogs, social networking, and concerts. You know what I mean? Like doing shows. I don't really see any other way to do it. Licensing clearly is a huge thing. Like if you can get your song on a TV show or like a movie or something, that's always great. But if you're, Johnny Go Random MC, don't know a lot from, Butte, Montana. That's right. Then Butte is Montana. I guess. That's how
He only knows Eastern European.
Czech Republic. Aarhus, Denmark.
That place.
So yeah, that's the only way you're going to get your stuff seen, being in that sort of low level stuff is doing it the social networking way, or trying to be clever.
So we were talking about the concept of the big idea, but inside of like content marketing for music marketing, and you were saying that the only way to really make it big or get that type of coverage in music now is to have like that big idea behind whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm. So if you could just expand a little more on that.
Mm-hmm. Basically what I was trying to get at was, being that nobody buys music anymore, the only real way to get your stuff out there is to have a really unique and great idea, and you could spend money on anything, on any sort of advertising. You could spend money on a gigantic publicist and try to get your stuff in as many outlets as possible. But if you don't have good product or good content or a great idea, it won't matter. If you notice, like a lot of major label artists that get signed, you'll hear about, so and so gets signed, so and so got signed to this, and they signed up for many $1 million, and then a lot of dudes get shelved. And that's money spent on their end, or there'll be artists that come out, they drop, and then you never hear about them again, or the single never took to radio, or, you know what I'm saying? And like, the reason for that is because it's proof that even if you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to break a major label artist on a national scale or even global scale, if the music isn't there or if the idea isn't there, it doesn't matter.
So you're saying the model's broken?
It's completely. It's basically them, making these cookie cutter things of statistically proven types of music. Oh, this is working this year, so we're going to make this copy of this song with this artist that had a hit over here, with this producer who has this sound that we need, and we're going to pour auto-tune over it, and it's going to have this repetitive Rihanna hook, and then we're gonna have, you know, it's only gonna do 3 chords or the max, and the sequence, it's all gonna be under 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and we're gonna put this out, and we're gonna make a whole bunch of this and throw it at this wall, and whatever's, yeah, and spend a lot of money at it, and then like, you know, the 1 or 2 things that actually hit usually are the things that are the big things. Look at I always point out, somebody's like,
So the rest kind of like loss leaders, basically. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what they are.
That's how they treat us.
That's exactly what they are. They're tax write-offs. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody says, like, oh, that dude's a tax write-off. Like, they're basically just there.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, like,
It's a common thing amongst musicians.
so that guy's a total tax write-off.
Yeah.
Like, you just get signed as a tax write-off. You know? So, like, but the best ideas always stick. So, especially now in the medium now where, you know, with YouTube, everybody can make a video on their own that looks like a 35 millimeter, you know, professionally shot video. Everybody can make an album in their bedroom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's mastering tools now. Like, you don't really need to do anything outside of your own bedroom if you have the right software.
Sure.
You know, so what's going to make you stick out? Because now that everybody's making albums, everybody's making videos, what's your idea? How is unique is your idea? And that's what's going to carry you. And if you spend money on a good idea, then you're talking about, you know, return.
Yeah.
People are like putting together the parallels here between inbound marketing and what Tone's talking about.
I mean, they might be kind of wrapped up in the idea that it's music, but I mean, it is the same thing essentially. Like, we do so much with content and then kind of like try to give an extra push behind it with a little bit of like outbound marketing as well. But ultimately, we're trying to build like a community of fans behind a brand and then continue to like put out content. So it's the same as like, I put out an awesome song and I do a video where I'm rapping really fast and making pancakes, and then everybody like sees that, and then I have my community and I continue to put stuff out like that, and I grow that asset for my brand through my content. And then ultimately I can sell you things over time.
Right. And that's exactly the same thing that we do in music. It's the same thing.
Exactly. So you mentioned that like you can stretch a marketing budget way farther than a major label. What are some of the successful marketing tactics that you use for QN5?
We've had a lot. I feel like we've come up with so many things that just got jacked over time. Like, we were the first record label ever to podcast.
I remember.
You know what I mean?
QN5.
Yeah. So like, and that's like, for me, is like the, you know what I mean? And like, nobody was podcasting back then. Like, it was difficult. Like, nobody could figure out how to do it. Like, what's an RSS feed? Like, it was complicated back then. It was like 2004. It was like this new thing, and I was like, I want to do that, and because I thought it would be cool, like, as a radio station, and you know, we weren't consistent with it, and so it just kind of fell off, you know, by the wayside, and everybody else started doing it. And you know, there's some very, very popular and powerful and very influential podcasts out there right now, you know, that have been doing it consistently for a long time, and that's the trick. Other things, little things like when MySpace was around, you know what I mean? What we used to do, sort of like a, how can I call this? We would do like an occupied top 8. Or if there was a top 12, we would make sure that everybody in that top 8 was displaying the same profile picture to sort of emphasize a release that we had going on, so that everybody in that loop would see that. And so we tell everybody, if you're down with this, or if you want to support this, tell your friends to put this as your cover, and then we'd hit them off with a little incentive, or like a t-shirt or a CD or something like that. So that way it just sort of spread, so that everywhere you went, you had to look at it. It was like a free ad posted. You know what I mean? And then it was exponentially compounded by how many people were in the top 8, like little things like that. But the thing that the most successful thing we've done was sort of creating sort of this collector's culture in our fan base, where our fans literally will hunt down things from overseas because the limited pressing nature of the indie market. What we do is we only press a certain amount of things, and then we put it out, and then whoever gets it, and we don't make any more past what we press. So it's like, it becomes a thing for new fans or older fans. Oh, I'm missing this, and spending so much money trying to get this thing. And the fan community that we've built, we've done Xbox tournaments with them, where the artists are playing on teams against the fans and things like that, and it's creating this sort of like integrated fan-artist relationship. I mean, truly integrated, not just sort of like, yeah, buy my record, ho. Like, it's not. it's more sort of like, hey, if you buy my record, like, I'll totally like have a beer with you when I come through, and like, it's more of a friendly thing. That creates sort of like a level of friend support that you don't get normally with an artist-fan relationship. Like, they treat you like family, you know, and they really value what you're doing. So building the Q&5 community, which is one of the most hardcore like fan communities on the web, in my personal opinion, for hip hop especially, I haven't seen a hip hop community like this. They're very, very unique, and that is my biggest achievement, I think, in just doing the marketing thing for the label.
So one of the strong parallels I've noticed between Tone, Q&5 is SEO Minds for our space. So like they're so about the community, like they have a lot of events, and then Q&5 has what they call the mega show, and you know, they'll have like fans flying in from all over the world to see this show, and it'll be like a packed house to see all the Q&5 acts and such. And again, Tone's been awesome about being an early adopter of technology. Like, he was probably the first person I knew on Twitter. I was like, what is this thing? He's like, oh, get on it. And then like, I'm like, what is this? So Tone has always been that guy to like, you know, put me onto something before anybody else was on it, and then also maximize the usage of it. So yeah, I would say that you guys have been really awesome about that and the community building.
Thank you.
So what would you say is the future of marketing for an aspiring musician?
Aspiring musician, video.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Like in a nutshell, as a musician, if you made a song and it doesn't have a video, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, wow. It's true.
Simple as that.
It's true.
Simple as that. Your song does not exist unless it has a video.
Is that because of the reach of YouTube, or?
Basically, and just on social networking, if you post a music link with a waveform, nobody even looks at it. But a video, people are just compelled to look at it.
And the thing is, like, so much music discovery happens on YouTube rather than in other channels at this point. Like, people don't really listen to the radio anymore. Right. They're on YouTube. They're looking for your video. So I kind of just want to get more back into like the specifics of what you're doing. Okay. Tell us about the marketing of your new Polymer series.
How much time do we have?
Like 5-6 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Essentially, what I figured out was, you know, you don't need with the reach of the fan community that we have and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a big fan of Kickstarter. You know, I kind of feel like it's like public begging.
It is.
You know, if you $20 towards my campaign, I'll call your house and we'll have dinner together, and I'll write you a personalized letter about why you're so cool.
I've noticed, like, I've kind of contributed to a few different Kickstarters. People don't follow through on those things.
No, they don't. They absolutely don't, because they're so ridiculous. Some of the things are so ridiculous that it's like why would you get on camera and say you're going to do all this? Like, we can go to dinner together. I saw somebody say we were going to go to dinner together. It's like a date? Like what?
I'm paying you to go on a date so you can put out a record?
Right. Like, it just sounds complete. It's just gotten nuts. And so what we figured out a long time ago was, you know, if you build a community, you know, pre-ordering is your Kickstarter, you know? And so we fund our releases through pre-orders. We fund them through, basically, if you buy any Q&5 record, you're supporting the next release, because it all goes back into the label, and then we just keep it going, you know. But with this project, what I wanted to do was extend the life of the pre-order, because normally what happens is you have a situation where you put out a new record, it's going to drop, everybody knows it's going to drop, and it comes out said date, so you have X amount of months to promote it, and then you get to the end, and then that's it. So why not extend the life of that and
turn into a series? Basically.
Turn it into a series where basically, if I'm in a nutshell, I'm releasing 4 EPs. Okay, these 4 EPs become an album in the end. Okay, but only at the end. Okay, EPs 1 through 3 are released digitally at 3-month intervals. Digitally. Okay, from the day EP number 1 drops, pre-orders are available for the whole thing all the way through. EP2 comes out, pre-orders still available
For that one.
for the whole album.
So each one promotes the next one.
Promotes the next one, promotes the next one.
Anyways,
Anyways,
an opportunity to
okay, it gives the fans more of an opportunity to pre-order because they are limited edition, collector's edition records. We're only pressing as many as are pre-ordered. After that, they don't exist anymore. So if you want a copy of this, you have to pre-order it. Like, period. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so to parallel that back to inbound marketing, we, like I was telling you, we're doing this ebook with HubSpot, and they've split it into 4 different ebooks. And obviously, the scarcity isn't the same as what you have
Right,
with
because
yours.
it's digital.
Right. So, but it's the same thing where it's like compounding the people that are gonna want to check it out. So you check out the first ebook, you're like, oh wow, this is awesome. Let me sign up to the mailing list and make sure I get find out more information about the next one. And then somebody might find out about only the second one, and then they'll like sign up for the third one, and then go back and get the first one, so on and so forth. So there's more opportunities for you as the brand to capture these leads, essentially.
Right. Exactly. And the reason why I wanted to approach Polymer like this is, I've never seen anybody do this before
Right.
in a record. I've never seen anybody do it before, and so that's a challenge to me. And I love to do interesting, novel things with the format because EPs right now are the new album. You know what I mean? That's essentially what it is because people don't have the patience anymore for albums, and albums they take a long time to produce, and there's an expectation with an album that people don't have on EPs. Now, being that I'm messing with this EP format, like I want to do something with this format. So on top of just splitting an album into 4 pieces, thematically and artistically, each EP is a completely different style that comprises this Voltron-like tone-deaf artist. So each
But it still kind of works.
It's all cohesive in the end because of the way that I'm approaching it. But each EP is a completely different style.
Like each one could stand alone if it wanted to.
Right, but then when you blend it all together, it just becomes this Voltron thing. You see what I'm saying? So it's literally putting a slant on the EP idea. It's not just this is my maxi single. This is like this is a smaller part of a larger whole. You know what I mean? So and with Cold Kill Collected, the last release that I did 500 like limited edition CDs for like diehard fans, and I charged like an arm and a leg for it. And you know what I mean? And we ran out, and I was like, man, like, and then there was people like, hey, I want to buy that too, and I missed it when it came out. Like, I really want that. I'll pay you anything. And I'm just like, I don't have any more. So it's like, okay, so how do I set this up so that going forward, if you miss a pre-order in an entire year, like it's your own fault.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then there's always, the resale market. You can go on eBay and pay super extra for it, but there will be no excuses now.
Right. Okay. So, I also wanted to talk about your new podcast because you talked about WQ5, but now you have tacos and chocolate milk.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Okay, tacos and chocolate milk is completely capital letters NSFW. Okay, like do not listen to it in front of your wife unless she's into that sort of thing. Definitely don't listen to it in front of your kids. It is the most. Yeah. Anyways,
it's funny.
I started a comedy conversational podcast. Actually, it's not even comedy. It's just conversational podcast with my my BFF for life, Mr. Pack FM / Omar Tall, and we just started talking because we just always had these conversations, and we love comedy and stuff like that. But like when we talk, it's just an incessant, like just parade of laughter. I don't know why. We just make each other laugh incessantly. So we just started recording these conversations. And so we set it up 1 hour to end, start to end, no editing, nothing. We just talk, and we don't have about anything. We have no plan. We have no jokes. We have no.
Funny is
like a modern day Seinfeld.
Yeah, there's no point.
Funny,
but it just works for some reason. And we've been very fortunate so far. Like we were in the top 100 podcasts like immediately after starting. We were featured as the top, number 4 of the top 10 music podcasts by Pace Magazine over NPR. Can I just say? Woo! So that was fun, and we were featured on iTunes' new and noteworthy section on the front page. So far it's been really good. We've done over 1.3 million downloads so far with no money into it whatsoever. And
all we do is talk.
All we do is talk.
How did it spread?
Word of mouth, man. Absolutely word of mouth. I don't know what happened. I think that someone maybe somewhere that we don't know about tweeted about it or something, or I don't know what happened. It just took off. So we're trying to do them every single week, and that's been a big focus for us because we get busy with our schedules, and since we're not making any money off of it, quote unquote, it kind of gets we can wait a couple days, but it's dangerous territory to not be consistent.
Does that pressure of having to come out with something every week dilute the comedy of it?
No.
It's just that natural. It's just them sitting around talking, kind of like just this.
Yeah, it's you kind of never run out of stuff. It's as long as you're alive and something happened to you that week, there's kind of it's just an endless well of material just to build from. And I basically rag on Pac, and then he'll try to say something horribly offensive to me, and then I'll mope about it for 10 minutes, and then we'll just get right back on. But listening to that ebb and flow of the conversation is just a lot of fun. Yeah.
So you actually have fans in our company. I just wanted to let you know that. And one of their questions was, when can we expect to hear a new Tone Deaf and iAcquire record?
Well, you got to ask iAcquire because he's too busy getting his SEO pimp game on to be messing with any of that rap stuff anymore.
No, I mean, Tone, I think everybody, if you made this far in this video, I would really appreciate if you checked out Tone's music. He is hands down by far one of the best musicians I've ever met, heard, seen, been around. So check his stuff out. QM5.com/ToneDeaf. I'm sure I put it on the screen right here. Anyway.
Right there.
So yeah, I mean, thanks for joining us. This has been awesome.
I appreciate it.
I've learned some stuff I didn't know about you during this. So this has been pretty incredible. So thanks for coming by, Tone.
You got it.
And we will be back next week for another episode of Lunch Break. I'll see you guys later.
And I'll be eating sushi.